she's letting young girls know, be you, be powerful, be strong, be vulnerable, have those feelings, quit making excuses and worrying about what everybody else thinks about it, and go for it. I love that. Like, who could ask for a better guru, right? Some people are going to be reached by the Dalai Lama, and some people are going to be reached by Taylor Swift, and I'm okay saying that. Said it. Because it takes a lot of love to handle what that woman has got to handle. From the scrutiny, from the energy that's coming. Like, the biggest takeaway from me was that she could receive that level of love. Whoa, you got to do some work on yourself to take in that. And then to see her on the stage, letting go of the mind. If she was in her mind, she couldn't do it. But she is having a good time. And if things mess up, they mess up. She shouldn't worry about it. Because she leans into the love. And they're loving her, even if she's screwing up, because she's willing to be in front of everybody and say, I'm going to live a human life, and I'm going to be imperfect, and can you love me anyway? She is embodying that. And she's doing it in a way that's acceptable to a mass amount of people. But watching somebody else be that vulnerable and open and playful, to be able to play in a situation like that, to have a good time, is incredible. And it says that they can receive love. So tonight I'm going to talk about Taylor Swift. And not that I know her career incredibly well. I'm not as well versed as a Swiftie. So, and in fact, I had not seen a whole lot by Taylor Swift before a friend of mine asked me to go with him to the film. So I had seen a documentary, just a portion of it, of Taylor Swift, and took away from that documentary that she really had to work on herself to be able to handle the level of scrutiny and feedback that she was getting from being, a star. So, but I got a call from a friend of mine. He's 49, and he said, I have a favor to ask. And I was like, all right, what is it? And it was pretty much going to be a yes, because he rarely asks for much. And he's like, will you go with me to the Eras movie? Because I don't want to go by myself as a man. Because he said there'll be a lot of little teenagers and young girls. And he said, I'll just feel weird if I'm the only dude sitting there. And I'm like, yeah, totally, I'll go with you. And so when I arrived, met him at the theater, he said, I got you something. And I was like, really? And so he hands me a friendship bracelet, which I had no clue that was anything on the spectrum. And I said, oh, and so I started to put it on, and it was this, he said, I got it off of Amazon. I said, all right. So he gives it to me. I put it on. It's about to cut the circulation off my wrist, because mine is not a tiny teenage wrist. So, but anyway, my hand survived it. Although about by the end of the show, I was like, whew, I'm going to have to take this thing off. But so we go, and just sitting there and waiting for the film to start, I thought, I'm just going to open myself to whatever I can learn through this film. And I was so happy that I went, because I did learn a lot. So though I'll be chatting about Taylor Swift, it's something that we can all take away. We don't all have that level of scrutiny that she has to deal with. But in some ways, it's a shared experience. So when the movie opens up, the first thing that I saw was, she steps out onto this stage, and I think there's like 90,000 people. It's a sold out, arena, and 90,000 people are there. And I understood, because my friend, who is a Swiftie, was like, you know what? she gave everybody a lighted bracelet so that she could see them all. And so they all had these lighted bracelets on. And the very first thing is her stepping out there. And I just opened myself to feel a bit of the impact of that and the energy coming from 90,000 people focused on one person. All of that energy. It was amazing to be able to handle that level of people looking at her, and some of them probably wanting something from her, but also receiving. She was receiving the energy of that many people. And she pauses as she starts, and she allows herself to receive. And that's one of the things that we're going to have as an awareness, and as we work through this together, just bringing that in. There is so much love available to each and every person. And that love is coming from the universe, God, people, whatever you want to call it, and from yourself to you. And just breathing in with that. Our bodies have been trained to minimize what gets sent towards us, because most of us have had the experience of receiving not unconditional love. We've received love with conditions. And we inherently felt that and began to protect ourselves from what was coming at us. And just let that factor in for a moment. We had to put up structures inside of ourselves that limited what was coming at us. And I don't care who you are, you've shared that experience. And so to receive the level of love that's coming at Taylor Swift when she steps out on that stage, and some of it has conditions on it too, right? But at the same time, she is receiving. And so to allow yourself to take that in, she's really had to do some work to be able to receive that level. Your body has not received unconditional love in that way at such a magnitude. Even for those of us who are not stars, we've received conditioned love. You know, you're acceptable when, you're okay if, I love you this way. And so as you begin to open up to the love that is absolutely surrounding you, and it is surrounding you, you just take a breath and allow some of that love in. You'll notice like some of your body may be tensing up a little bit and relaxing with that. Because to receive the level of love that is available to you, you have to start off with little sips of it, because your body chemistry isn't used to it and your neurology isn't used to it. So that was one of my first takeaways from her, is that she pauses and she allows it in. So let's take a pause and begin to allow the love that wants to love us to come in. So as she received that love, then you can see it on her face as she just opens to it and receives it. It's a beautiful encouragement to all of us to receive that level of love. Because the first thing we do, of course, is question it. Because we've learned to question what's coming at us. How is it going to affect me? Is it going to try to tell me what to be or who to be? How do I prepare myself to receive a portion of love? But it's going to come with strings attached. And can I open to being safe inside so that I can receive what you're capable of giving me and I'm capable of receiving? And so watching that happen, and it's about letting your body know that you're safe to receive that. And that, a lot of times we struggle with, do I deserve this? Am I worthy? And those are questions of the mind. The mind reminds us maybe of places where we don't feel worthy or we don't feel deserving. And those aren't words that love uses. Love loves. And inside of you is this extraordinary capacity to receive as well as give. And the way to start is by giving and receiving to yourself. Loving you. Allowing you to love you just as you are, with no changes needed. Loving everything about you. Loving your mind, your body, whatever way that you can. Just begin to allow yourself to receive that kind of love. And then the next thing I noticed after she greeted the audience and received that love from them, she also shared that love right back. And the capacity to share that. And she took a moment to look around that entire crowd and acknowledge them and to exude back to them that love. And that was a beautiful thing to see. And nobody's perfect. And it's hard to be under that kind of scrutiny. And none of us are perfect. So neither should Taylor Swift have to be. And to be able to receive that with the awareness that you're not, and the hope that those that are loving you can handle it when you're not. And so the next thing that a person has to build is trust. Oh, you can trust you. You can trust you. And even receiving those words can be hard. That you can trust yourself. Because we've been trained to not trust ourselves. To not trust ourselves or others. But you can trust you. And you can lean into you. So just letting ourselves breathe into that. Trusting ourselves without needing to be perfect. Again, words like deserve, worthiness, and perfection have absolutely nothing to do with love. Love does not factor that way. Love loves. And you are loving. And it's wonderful when you begin to love yourself. And lean into that trust. Trusting yourself and that inner knowing. And breathing into that space that can acknowledge this. of course our minds start talking about, well, there was this time when I yada yada yada. It's just the mind. Follow that breath into your heart, because that heart's been waiting for you to trust and to love. And you can. And another thing is, I was watching this film, this Eras Tour, when she stepped out on the stage and began to perform. I looked and I was aware that Taylor Swift is the embodiment of all of our collective consciousness, ready for a strong, kind woman to embody power. And whether you like Taylor Swift or you don't like Taylor Swift, it's not really critical to this. She is embodying power. She is embodying female strength, wisdom, intuition, kindness. All the things that we need more of on this planet. And the very fact that she exists is because our collective consciousness was ready for that. Otherwise, it wouldn't be happening. And isn't that a beautiful thing to become aware of? That we are in a time frame where we are ready for this. Now, she's very young, 33, but she's been doing this for a long time. And the people that are bringing her to the forefront, I used to think it was a bunch of kids, right? A bunch of teenagers or, young girls. But there's a lot more people that enjoy Taylor Swift than just young girls. But it's perfect that it is a lot of young girls, because they're telling us that they're ready. They're ready to embrace that level and to be that. Otherwise, she would not be there. And so how do we take that into our lives? That you too are the embodiment of love. That you are the embodiment as well. Each one of us has a role to play on this planet. And not all of us are going to play the same role, of course. But the sheer fact that you exist amongst the connections that you exist with, and that means everybody that you meet, not just one person or 5 or 10 people that you feel like you have maybe influence with in this life. But your vibration, your embodiment is touching every single person that you encounter throughout your day. And your vibration of who you are is affecting this planet. That's how important you are as well. Because this planet isn't just based off of one person's vibration. It's all of us. And this planet is ready for more love. So owning the embodiment that you are, who you're connected to, who you're close to, who you meet. Every breath is important. Every vibration is important. And every existence is needed. So beginning to realize that just as much as we have all collectively called and asked Taylor Swift to be here, to be the embodiment of particular characteristics, no less thought went into you. You may not have chosen the same experience or the same scope. And why would we? But every being on this planet has called and asked you to be here as well, or you wouldn't be here. It's not really about the role that we play, it's that we showed up. And that's how we're all equal. There's not one life on this planet more important than another. We all play different roles, but we've all asked each other to be here at this time. So opening to love allows you to fulfill your greatest purpose here, which is first and foremost to love yourself. Because until you love you, and even that love does not have to be perfect. You might think, oh, do I love myself enough? Am I loving myself enough to do my purpose? That's a mind thing, totally. Yes, you're embodied here. You are here. And so you will fulfill the role that you have. And the fun thing is we get to do it while our mind screams something else the whole time. Because part of it is becoming aware that we are not the thoughts in our head. My mind will never understand the loving role that I play. And I'll love it anyway. And just like your mind may never totally get, it'll always be worried, is it enough? Yeah, it is. Just love it. Because you're not that mind. And so just as Taylor Swift has been called to play this role, so have you. It's only our mind that says, well, this one's more important than that one. Which is the most important brick in a building? How do you know? And when one goes, it all starts to crumble. So, we're all here playing equally important roles. And it's only the mind that judges whether this one's more important than that one. And you're not the mind. So we're building something together. And that's what I loved about this movie as well, was watching Taylor Swift appreciate and thank her audience. So another aspect of love is knowing, and even while you're being a very important brick according to everybody else in this foundation, you know, everybody's saying, oh, that's it, that's the most important brick. When that brick is aware that it needs all the others to hold its own space, then it's a very strong brick. And she thanks her audience. She stops and she says, thank you. That this is something that we're creating together. She literally says that. And she says, I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you. She acknowledges that unless each of those people chose to show up and support, then she'd just be sitting on her porch playing a guitar. And you know what? That would still be so important. It would have been the way it should be. Some of the most lovely things I hear from my own porch is a neighbor who practices bagpipes down the street. And he'll come out and sit on his porch, and I can't see him, but I can hear him. And I know that he's fulfilling something important. And I hear the birds shift their singing. And he loves. He loves his children, and he loves his wife, and he loves his neighbors. And that's so important. So if all Taylor Swift did was play the guitar on her porch, it would just be as the same importance level. Because it's that you're doing it. It's not who's watching. So your role is so important, no matter if you think anybody's watching or not. And when my friend, actually acquaintance, finishes playing his bagpipes and he goes inside, he doesn't know that I've heard him. And he doesn't know how much I enjoyed it. And how important it was for me that day to hear that. And for me to hear the birds change their song to integrate with him. And even I don't know what that's changing in our environment, but I can appreciate it. But I really appreciated that Taylor Swift said thank you and collaborates with her audience. And that's another thing about love, is collaboration. And I'm letting that just sit for a second. Because sometimes we measure ourselves by what we achieve and what other people think of us, and did they see that achievement. And that's a portion of collaboration. But when you recognize that collaboration is moment by moment, that it isn't just one thing. It's not just people showing up to hear you, but hearing them as well. And whether people like it or not, when she's in relationship with somebody, there's all this talk like, oh, after she has a breakup, then you're going to have a new album, right? Which, may be the case. I don't know. She laughs about it, so it's probably somewhere in there, right? And it's one of the things we're all waiting to see, like how I guess I get his name right, Travis Kelce is in her relationship. What's that album going to be like? But she's collaborating with everybody she's in relationship with. And she's speaking to how it feels when it goes right and how it feels when it goes wrong. And she's being real about how that feels. And even though she doesn't always put it in her songs, how this made her feel, and how it unhinged this part, or, oh man, this sucked, or this was great, or dressing for revenge instead of for somebody else. It's fun to begin to acknowledge that's how we feel. So we begin to feel these things. And when we speak them and we start talking about them, they lose their power over us. And we collectively sing about it. Oh, you've had that experience as well. Oh, that's resonating with you too. Then we begin to see past that was everything. And we see it as what it was. It was a time frame. And we can move beyond those experiences. And we can be happy again. And we can have joy again. And love loves us through all those occasions. Love loves us when we're happy. And love loves us when we're sad. And that consistency of love is always there. And though Taylor Swift may not put that in a song, she shows it in her life. Because she can put together an album of that sort and be that vulnerable and put it out there and say, this is how I feel. And then she can create another album from a different perspective. And unless she was going into that space inside of her that can get past those situations, she wouldn't create any other album. But she does. Because some part of her is letting us know, this is right now. But it's not tomorrow, and it's not the next day. And I'm not just this. And I'm not just this moment. And that she can plan a tour and plan events and resonate with the people that watch her, says she's not just focused on what that song felt like or those feelings felt like. She's focused enough to get the song written and then focused enough to move on, letting us know that we can achieve whatever we need to, even in the midst of some sort of pain that we're feeling. And that's a lot when she's also experiencing incredible scrutiny. And I think we all share, not to the level, I'll admit. I don't have 90,000 people watching me in one night, much less that on, how many people are watching her across so many different places. How many stadiums is she filling with 90,000 people, right? So she certainly has a lot of scrutiny. But almost all of us, feel that at some point. What do the people I work with think? What do my mom and dad think? What do my brothers think? My sisters think? What's my spouse think? What do other people think? And at some point, we have to let that go. To be who we truly are. To let love lead us. We have to come to that place inside of ourselves where even when there is a level of scrutiny, that we trust and lean into ourselves. And I think, in the documentary I saw on Taylor Swift, she was talking about, I think at one point she would read about her weight, or she would read about, so many number of things. People talking about her hair, talking about her weight, talking about everything you can talk about. And how she would then try to respond to that. And it was making her sick. And she had to come to a solid place inside of herself. So she's done some internal work to be able to do that. And to live at the level like none of us, most of us, I'll say, I don't know what every single person faces, but I don't, when I get up and walk outside my door, have 1,000 people there waiting for me to walk out the door and paparazzi there to take pictures. I mean, that's a huge level of scrutiny. For her to be able to exist, she's showing us, don't let other people tell you who you are. Because if you do, you're going to make yourself sick. So trust you. And love you. And love imperfect you. Because she's not perfect. She's not saying that she is. She's over here writing, sad songs and happy songs and real life, like, this was crap, and oh, this didn't look good. And she's so vulnerable and deep in her when she speaks about where she comes from with these songs. And that vulnerability is strength, because it lets us all know it's a shared space, that life and humanity shares similar emotions, similar feelings, and we're not separate. And she is not separate from her audience. She plays with energy. Like if you go watch the film, and I'm not saying you should, but to watch her play with energy. So not only does she trust herself, she trusts her audience, and she has a relationship. So that's the other thing about love, is recognizing you have a one-on-one relationship with everybody. We may think we're intimate with a few people and we're, relating to a few people, but you're actually relating with this entire world all at the same time. You're not separate from any one person. So though we look at Taylor as someone who is relating to a massive number of people, we're all relating to the same number of people. We're just relating differently. But she understands that she's relating to a mass number of people and that they're all aware. Now you're relating to as many people, but we're not all aware of how we're relating. She's having specific relationships. But when she plays with energy, it's like, so she comes out on stage and she's been singing for a while, and then she just takes her hand and points out at the audience. Doesn't say a thing, just points. And they begin to respond to her pointing in their direction. And they're giving her, and she leans into trust to be able to, can I play with you this way? Can I take this risk that you'll know what I mean, that you'll get me? And she points out at them, and they respond. And they give her feedback. And when she has another person, not in this particular movie, but I watched her in something else where she had a different artist on stage with her. And she, while that artist is singing, she relates to her audience in a way that she raises her hand because she wants them to support that artist. That's love. It's not all about me. It's about you. It's about you supporting each other. And that's love. And she trusts. And she works with that energy. I mean, like when she's connecting to that whole audience energetically, because she can't be beside each person, but energetically, she's acknowledging them. Energetically, she's moving them. And they're responding. And I know, like, even in some of her videos, she plants all this little information, which I did not know this until I learned more about her, because everybody came up with these, oh, this is happening and this is happening. And I'm like, how do you know this? And they're like, oh, she puts these things in her videos. And I'm like, I don't know about that. But then I watch a video from her where she says, oh yeah, I put these things in my videos because I know people are looking for it. So there again, she's listening to them. She's not just saying, hey, watch my video, this is me. And a lot of artists put out videos that are like, me. But they're not operating at the level that Taylor Swift is. Because Taylor Swift is listening and then putting her videos together based on the desires of her audience, which is they want to play. They want to be interactive. You sneak me little snippets in this video and I'm going to go figure it out. That's love. To be able to hear your audience and say, oh, you like to play like that? Let's play. And it's the reminder that this life is play. We get so serious. And I know me, I get serious about this life, right? I'm like, oh, I gotta really think about what I'm about to say. And really, I operate best when I don't. But I get real serious about life. I mean, I came out of the womb going, there's a picture of me as a baby. I'll try to find it at some point, not for your sake, but for my own, where I'm in a stroller. I'm probably less than 2, and I've got my arm over the back of the stroller, and I'm looking at life like, what the heck? And I mean, so much of my life has been lived from that perspective. And I realized it when I looked at that picture of me less than 2 years old. I thought, well, God, have I got another expression? Because I forget that life is play. And by relaxing and playing, it's not as serious as we think. Doesn't mean there won't be challenges, but we don't have to stress so much about this that we forget to play, and that others want to play. And we want to play with each other in these little secret ways, the ways that you know me, the way that you know your friends. I mean, those inside jokes are the best, right? And to be playful. That it's wonderful to be like that, and to listen. That as you're loving and you're interconnecting with every single person on this planet, whether you get it or not, you are. We're all the embodiment of what each other needed. We only needed one Taylor Swift, but we all need each other. And as we are that embodiment, let me hear you. Let me pay attention to you. Let me play with you. Let me see what you're doing. What's important to you? How can I love you and support you back? And that's why when she moves with energy, they respond, because it's an intimate relationship. And she acknowledges that. She doesn't pretend it's all Taylor. It's all about love is still relating. And how you relate to you. Are you interested in you? So you take it from this, we know when we interact with somebody and they're interested in us, how wonderful that feels. And we seem to know how to relate to other people sometimes. Oh, I need to do this and I should do that. And they were sick the other week, let me give them a call. And we forget to relate to ourselves that way. So let's relate to ourselves with this level of intimacy and interest. The most important relationship you have is the one with you. No matter who you're involved with, you're going to spend the most time with you over this lifetime. You're going to go to bed with you every single night. You're going to relive your day in your head. Love you. Be kind to you. Get to know you. Be interested in you. What are the little secret desires that you have? Where's the fun that you want to have and play and enjoy yourself? Because as you deepen that relationship to you, then you can begin to relate to others. And you have so much more space. See, when we are relating to other people, most of the time, we're trying to make up for stuff we have not received. We're looking for that other person to fulfill us, right? What can you give me? How can you make me feel better? We don't know we're saying that, but we're saying that. Love me first. And that's because we have not taken the time to have an intimate relationship with ourselves. An intimate and loving. We have a critical relationship with ourselves. And we can find time to bitch ourselves out or fuss at ourselves or whatever. But where have we taken the time to have an intimate and loving relationship to who we are? Not worrying about, hearing that voice in the head sometimes, or having a thought like, ugh, I don't like how I did that. And saying, you know what? I love me. And what's of interest to me? What would I like to enjoy today? How can I love myself in a special way? And when you give yourself that interest and that care and that love, then when someone comes along to you, you're not reaching out with a need bucket going, ugh, fix me, make me feel better. And you have space for when they need support. So a brick has to be strong in itself, trust in itself, lean on itself, and love itself before it can be supportive to the rest of the bricks in a way that is life-changing different. You know what? We're going to make it through this world one way or the other. We're going to be bricks supporting each other. I mean, we can decide we don't want to be, but guess what? If you're here on this planet at this time, you're connected to everybody else who's here on this planet at this time, and we're all affecting each other. Even if I want to be a standalone brick, I'm not. And sometimes we make it through life and we're just kind of like, all right, we're here together and we're supporting, and that's okay. But every once in a while, a brick gets to know itself and love itself and become playful and interactive, and it starts noticing the other bricks and it's supporting, and then all of a sudden it just comes together more and more. And that's what we're looking to do. And it starts with loving yourself and finding time to have that relationship to you, because you know what? You don't know you. You really don't. You know what your mind says about you, and that's not you. My mind does not know me the way I can know myself. My mind repeats what it learned as a child, but it does not know me. And only when I pause and look deeply at myself and find that space inside myself do I begin to discover what it is and who I am. Because most of us have become what our thoughts told us to be, and our thoughts came from others around us. And that's not something to vilify yourself. It's just something to recognize. This is how the world works. This is how we do each other. But we all called each other here to stop that. Because we're all part of this evolution and this revolution and this spiritual evolvement. And if you're here at this time, and if you exist at this time, and if you're embodied at this time, and it's all true because you're here, it is to be a part of that revolution. And that revolution is love yourself and then love others. Love yourself, trust yourself, love others, begin to play. Don't worry about what everybody else says. Trust you and love you. And that is important because we're all here to try and build a world where we're not tearing each brick apart. Where we're realizing whether that brick's in another country or here or right beside you, that we all share these same values of learning to love one another, no matter our differences, and to discover who we are, not who we were told to be. And I trust you. And the reason I'm talking to you is because I love you and I need your love. Not that small little love that takes me on certain days, but that love that changes this planet. Because we've all shown up to love one another more, to participate in this evolution, which says everyone's important, everyone's contributing, everyone is lovable, and I'm starting with me. And as you start with you, and I start with me, and then the next, and the next, and the next, And then we just create a whole new fabric to live in. And that's why your role is so important, because one little crack, and that's where the water comes through. And we're just sealing each other up. And some of us are called to roles with maybe more eyes. But every brick is important to this foundation. And that's why you're here. And because you're here, I can trust you. Because you decided I'm willing to participate. So thank you. Love you. And love one another. And thank you for being willing to do the hard journey to loving yourself. And it's not hard in the ways we think of some aspects, but to look willingly, consciously at yourself is of such great value, but it's also one of the things people fear the most. Because somewhere in there, we're worried that maybe it's really true. Maybe I'm not enough. Maybe I'm the one who didn't get it. None of that's true. You got here because you get it. You wouldn't be embodied if you didn't have it. And it's only the mind that doesn't know you that would even say that. So let this part of you, that when you breathe in the love that is in the air around us, breathing that in and letting that go into your heart and go into that space. Learn about who exists there. Because who exists there is a very important brick. We can find love all around us all the time. Even no matter what the situation looks like, love is there. Because you're there. And you are love. And you may be called to be the love that needed to exist in that moment. And that's why you're embodied here. And that's why you're so important. And that's why all the bricks together. No one brick more important. Because it might be that you're the love to be experienced in any situation. And we all trusted each other enough to be here. So thank you.